Hello, everybody, and welcome to another awesome, exceptionally irresistible show. This is the segment of Casual Chats where we hang out with awesome, incredible people that have an exceptional, irresistible story, or they're doing something, or they're just exceptionally irresistible. Whatever the case is, we highlight incredible, awesome people on this show. Today, we have the awesome, incredible Dr. Terrence Johnson. Hello, Dr. Terrence Johnson. I'm just going to call you Terrence for this show because,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, do
But,
that. That's what I tell people. Just call me Terrence. It's fine.
so Terrence, thank you so much for showing up. This is so incredible. We're so excited to have you. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, no. Thank you for the invite, and like I said, I'm always happy to get on people's platform that really enjoy what they do and enjoy people and telling people stories. So I'm appreciative of that.
Awesome, awesome. This is going to be incredible. I'm just going to read very briefly your bio that you shared with us,
Okay.
and then we're going to just jump in and have a casual chat and see
Yeah.
what you're up to and what you have to offer us today.
Yeah.
So here we go. So, Dr. Terrence Johnson is a person dedicated to the development of people. He holds a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in counseling education. He also holds a graduate. He's also a graduate of Mississippi College, where he received his doctorate in professional counseling. He is the co-founder and the chief innovation officer of iProgress LLC. He is a licensed professional counselor that specializes in um, digital well being, innovation, life purpose, and personal and professional growth. Terrence previously worked with adolescent offenders, children, and mental health disorders, middle, high school, and college age students. He supervised mental health students who sought to become licensed professional counselors. Wow, that's amazing. He taught at Mississippi College as a clinical professor in the Doctor of Professional Counseling program. He conducted presentations and workshops concerning mental health awareness, mentorship, personal growth, professional growth, and life purpose. Terrence likes to refer to himself as a life excavator who aids people to uncover the buried potential that life circumstances and events have hidden. I love that part. He's created two online courses named Path to Purpose and Dream Killers. Just those names are just like top notch. I kind of just want to go check out those courses now myself. Oh gosh, Terrence, this is so incredible. I know you and I had several conversations.
Yeah.
Just give us like a brief little synopsis of you had like a significant journey, going from from the teaching, the counseling, the courses and stuff like that. My question to you is that if you have one significant passion that you just want the world to hear, you could stand on the top of a mountain somewhere, yell out something. What is it that you want people to hear?
Well, for me, I want people to know that they're more gifted than they believe. That's my that's that's always I say it like this, and I mean it this way. That's always been my gift and my curse is I see the best in everybody. Uh, and I truly believe that. I truly believe that people have a lot of potential, and that's
Right.
where kind of like life excavator came from. I
Mm.
They know me like my friends, family. They know I do that to them all the time. It's like I give people a disclaimer. It's like don't tell me something you want to do unless you're ready to do it because I start. I'm like the amplifier. I'm like the booster cable to you. It's like if you want to do something, like okay, let's do it. Okay, let's go. Let's start. And
Yeah.
um, I think that's that energy. Is that I always want people to feel like they're VIP to me, and I think that's whoever they are, whatever walk of life, it doesn't matter title, whatever. I always try and treat people where it's like, they might say like, "Oh, you doing all these things?" Like, no, you doing good. You know what I'm saying? I always try and like give people their flowers too because you don't really get that a lot. Especially if you're trying to do things, trying to create things. It's that journey of like being unsure, that uncertainty, that lack of confidence or whatever. And sometimes you just need somebody to give you an encouraging word and say like, "Hey, I see what you're doing. Keep going. Keep doing what you're doing." And I think that's my best. my best quality is that I always try and do that for people, wherever I'm at. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that part because that's something that you and I had a lot of discussion about. Is where, you know, it's great. Like these things are very important. It's important to get that, that compliment and that empowerment and these kind of things. And I totally agree with you in the sense that it is very uncommon. It's actually pretty rare that people really see like their true greatness from their perspective.
hmm
It's as though people are waiting for permission to be great.
right,
I think you and I had that conversation many times. It's as if like they're sitting there and they're waiting. Like it's kind of like reminds me of school, high school, raising your hand, hey teacher, could I go to the bathroom, kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
And it's like that's not what life really is. I think we all have this exceptional being within ourselves,
hmm
and we shouldn't wait around to get that permission to be incredible. Like we already are, and it's extremely rare for people like you to come about and to say, hey, no, you are awesome already.
yeah,
I'm here just to kind of like help you either excavate that, help you identify more, help you grow, whatever it is. But you are already great. You don't need my permission to be great.
right.
I love when you share that. So, if you could just expand, I mean, that's our personal conversation. I want to take that out and show that to the world. So,
Yeah,
Terrence,
yeah.
you know,
No, I like the way you framed it because so much of life is always trying to tell people what they're not and how they should be something other than what they are. And I
right.
think that's the core. So for me, like even though most of my career has been in the helping profession, I didn't start there. I started
Mm,
as an architecture major. So I have a real creative design background too. So it's like I have all these things that run through me. So it's like helping and design and creativity and all these different things. And it's
wow.
like I just see whatever I do, the ways I serve is ways to communicate that in different ways. So everything
Mm,
I'm learning, I'm trying to find avenues to teach people because at the core, I'm a teacher.
right.
Uh, and I've been a professor. A professor is a different thing. It's a role, but I feel like it's practical things that I can teach people about themselves and how to learn more about themselves because so much of the media and things that we see, we watch, we read is always showing us like, hey, this person is doing great things and you can't do that. Or, hey,
Mm,
if you pay this amount of money, then we can show you how to do this and whatever. It's not about, hey, what do you have right now? What's
right.
unique about you? Let's start to amplify and highlight that. And that's one thing, even with teaching, especially with, other therapists, they were afraid, they didn't trust themselves. And so I know for me, when I was in school, a lot of times you have a professor that really like chip away at you, like you're not doing this, you should do this, do whatever. And I always tried to lead with what they were doing right. So it's like, okay, you're doing this well, doing this, you could correct this or do this a little differently. But I wanted to build them up first. A lot of
Right.
times people want to go in and just tell you, like beat you down, like, okay, let me bring you down to ground level and try and build you back up. And that doesn't necessarily work with everybody because people are so fragile when they're trying to start something new. You want to give them a good foundation of like, hey, what do you do great? It's kind of giving them not a safety net, but you almost kind of like like I get this is the image that comes, like giving them a hug, like, hey, come on, let me
Mm,
let
yeah.
me encourage you, let me encourage you. You're gonna be all right. It's gonna be a journey, but you're gonna be all right. And I think that's what I've always tried to do, whether it was
Love it.
teaching, whether it was like mentoring or whatever. I always tried to be that safe place for people where it's like, hey, I'm struggling. Like, okay, it's fine. This is what you can do to start getting yourself to where you want to get to. And I never wanted people to try and be copies of me,
Mm,
come across people, mentors, professors, like, other people in your life, and they don't think what you do is good unless you do it the way that they do it. And I
yeah.
never was like that. It's like I can give you a framework, but I want to show you how best to do it in the way that fits you. because
Mm,
and it's one thing that I always told my students. Uh, I never wanted to be the loudest voice in their head. I wanted their voice to be the loudest because if you hear me, then
yeah.
you're not trusting yourself. I don't
Right.
want to be the loudest voice. I want you to hear yourself, and then you make a decision on what you think is best. And I think that's what people are not their loudest voice in their head. And if they could learn how to be the loudest voice in their head, they could make more informed decisions that fit them best.
Wow. No, yeah, that's so true. I mean, like we talk about this as well in our podcast and other stuff in other areas where our inner landscape, like the inside of what we're doing. There's so many times you hear this cliche already, the grass is greener, on the other side, or the
Mhm.
grass is greener elsewhere. It's like I tell people, I said, you really want to like tend to your own garden. You got to be your own gardener, like if you're just looking out to me, or if you're looking out to, Terrence, or if you're looking out to your parents, you're looking out to your teachers, you're looking out to whoever you're looking out to. In a sense, you are giving, your field to somebody else to tend to, and it's this is yours. I often tell people we all struggle differently.
Right.
We all have our struggle that we're dealing with. We all struggle differently, and we all cope with our struggles in different ways, right? The question is how could you and I
Mhm.
channel, the struggle to work best for us, to be our blessing?
Right.
So I'm curious to hear, your thoughts. You could even talk about a personal struggle that you're going through, or just in general, you know, what is a struggle that is, unique to you, and how are you channeling how are you channeling that struggle to be your blessing in a sense?
Yeah. So I believe that struggle is necessary. A lot of people don't like to hear that.
Yeah.
They want to say like, "Hey, the road is gonna be great," and it's like when you're chasing your purpose and all that, it's like, "Oh, it's gonna be this great thing. It's gonna be like music and like the flowers." Like it's not like that. Uh, but it does produce a certain resilience in you that then makes you qualified to be the authority that you're trying to be, the space that you're in. And it's not
Hmm.
from a degree standpoint, because a lot of times I don't even, I really don't even hear about the stuff I've accomplished until I do stuff like this. And then I hear back like, oh, yeah, I did that. Because I don't really focus on it that way. And
Right.
people, it really puts people off when they meet me and they're like, well, why don't, because I usually don't lead with a lot of that. So people will kind of stumble upon that or in conversation, they're like, well, why don't you lead with that? Or why don't you talk about, because it's not my identity. Uh,
Right.
I look at them as like lenses or like knowledge bases, and I can use them and interchange them or integrate them for different things, but they're not all of me. But
Right.
as far as the struggle, I believe that you meet your true self and struggle. And until you go through that period, you don't really know you. You know the
Mhm.
version of you that people applaud or that's wrapped in your accomplishments or your wins. But until you have a season of losses, then that's when you have to meet you. It's like, okay, well, who am I without this? Or if I didn't have this job, or I didn't live here, if I didn't have this car, who would I be? Because a
Right.
lot of our framework of identity is on material things, what we have. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so if all that is taken away, then who are you?
Right.
And I think that's been my journey. When I quit my faculty job, my faculty job, it was okay. I'm not a professor right now. Okay, I'm not
Mm.
really acting as a therapist right now. Okay, well, who am I now?
Right.
And how does me serving look in this season of my life? Because
Mm.
I don't really want to look the same because I'm not the same person.
Right.
And what I value has shifted and changed. And so I think for me, that's still my I wouldn't necessarily say it's my struggle, but that's my journey right now of
Sure.
well, what does this look like now for me? And how do I be my authentic self and not feel like I have to play a role to do what I really am passionate about is really like serving, helping people help people develop their dreams,
Mhm.
but in a way that doesn't burn me out. Because that's where I used to live. I used to live in burnout land. It's just I would
Yep.
work and
Yep.
work and work and help and give and give and give until I give out, and then I
Yep.
repeat.
Yep.
And I don't want to do that.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely powerful. And what I'm hearing what you're saying is that really that connection of like we often hear this voice in our mind, like here I am behind all these titles and these accolades and these accomplishments and these, all these things that I've done.
Mhm,
I could share the same thing. Like I was struggling. There was a period in time where I was struggling to find a job. I was looking to get a job
mhm,
and I was going out to just right now just get almost an anything job,
mhm,
just for the time being until I could figure out what's going on in my life. And
mhm,
I would go to, I don't know, be a server in a restaurant or something, just because right now you have to pay bills, right?
mhm,
And they would look at my resume and they would look back at all my accomplishments
mhm,
and they would say I'm overqualified. Like they felt bad to hire me, with my education, with my experience, with this
mhm,
kind. So
mhm.
what I did one time, this is a funny story. I grab a pen and I said, could I have my CV back? And he gives it back to me. And I just took a pen and I just crossed out the entire experience section and I gave it back to him and I said, now am I qualified?
Yeah,
So like, and I hear what you're saying because it's a common struggle
yep.
that many of us, and as I said earlier, we all struggle differently, but
Mhm,
somewhere I think where we could all relate to is this constant thing in our head. I'm a doctor, or I'm accomplished, or I've
mhm,
done this, or I've done that. I'm a previous
mhm.
faculty member. What does it mean like to start a new business and a
Uh-huh.
new,
Yeah,
all these different elements that these are also could be our voices that we have. They are our accomplishments, but they could also be these louder voices which overshadow, I guess, our true identity. Okay, who am I if I stripped away these titles or if I stripped away these experiences? Who am I at my core, and how could I bring a value?
yeah,
I think a lot of us could relate to that struggle,
yeah.
in that kind of way. So my question to you is, how do we break free of that? How could we kind of like, shift and really find our freedom in a sense from that kind of way of thinking?
Yeah. While you were talking, what came to me was an interview that Jamie Foxx did. I think it was on Colbert or one of them, but they were asking him about his Oscar win. And they were
Mm.
like, where do you put the Oscar? He was like, man, I don't even know where the Oscar is in my house. Like I got it hidden. He like because when I got it, it's like he like I could feel myself like talking in a different accent and like being this like professional person. He's like, no, I can't be me if I'm focused on
Right.
like and so like I just had to put it away. Like I know I got it, but I don't focus on it because I
Mm.
couldn't remain me. It was gonna change me if I did
Mm.
that. And I think that's been the thing for me is like how can I navigate and still go towards things, but what's my motivation now?
Mm.
Because for a long time my motivation was proving things. Like I
Mm.
need to prove myself. I need to show that I'm confident. I need to overachieve just to validate my position. So it's like
Mm.
I have to always be on,
Mm.
where it. And I think that was the way I felt at like being a professor because usually I'm the youngest wherever I'm at. Uh,
Right.
like I think I was faculty. Yeah, I was faculty at 30, and
Wow.
yeah, so
Wow.
like oh, and like I literally went from my professor being my professor, walking across the stage that spring, that fall, I was faculty. So then we had commencement, and then I'm on the floor sitting next to them, and like,
Oh man.
how, how did I get like?
Right.
You think I'm supposed to be here? You know, and it was such a like a mind kind of like warping thing because it's
Yeah.
like, man, how did I get here? You
Yeah.
know, and I think I never felt that I belonged there, even though I did the work to get there. I didn't really. I always felt like an imposter there because, like, okay, eventually they're gonna be like, yeah, you probably need to be here. But it was always because of my students.
Right.
My students were the reason why I got that position because they just always said something positive about me every semester. Like I had the highest ratings because when I was an adjunct, I wasn't making but maybe 1,200, 1,500, like for like 5, 6 months work. Well,
Mm.
so you get like half of it midterm and half of it at the end of the semester. I wasn't making any money doing it, but I showed
Mhm.
up and gave everything to them,
Right.
and they loved it, and I loved them, and I think that's always been I guess my motto for life is just you just show up as you and do
Right.
what you need to do, and then things just find a way of opening up for you. Because I didn't even apply for that faculty job. Like
Mm.
our director pretty much said like, "Hey, I want to give you this position." Like I didn't apply for it. It wasn't a posting that I like, said paperwork in. He like, "Hey, I want you to do this." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Yes, I want to
Yeah.
do it."
Mhm.
Uh, and that's how it was. And so I think that's how things line up. Sometimes
Mm.
we want like you're talking about, you want to seek out the job, and that was the thing too. I applied for all types of jobs in between. Like I was ready to go from my teaching job, but I wanted to land somewhere else, like safer. So like, okay, I want to transition to then the next transition,
Sure.
and God was like, no. So like I applied to all these jobs all across the country and got no call back, no
Wow.
nothing. and,
Yeah.
and I was like, so I'm really gonna have to quit this job like with nothing. Like this, is what you want me to do? Okay, all right, I get you. Okay, all right, here we go. We're gonna do it.
No, gosh.
But it was. I understood, and it was something that I was walking the other day, and it came to me, you know, and I do these handwritten notes now that I post on LinkedIn sometime, and I was walking, and like what came to me was, your rejection is your protection,
Mm. Yeah, I saw that.
and
I saw that post.
yeah,
Mhm.
and I was like, no, that makes sense because, and I know you understand it too. When you're really making a life shift, you're gonna hear a whole lot of no's, and you're gonna get rejected, and then you're gonna get people that won't understand it and then think you crazy for doing what you're doing. And
Mhm.
it's like this whole process of like getting beat down and chipped away at, but it's also to protect you from taking something that would then take you farther away from what you really called to do. Right. And so it's like, all right, I might not like it, I might not feel like I deserve to hear all these no's and stuff, but it's protecting me because when the yes does come, it will be the right yes
That's
and
right.
the right reason. And so it's being patient in that season of like uncertainty, where it's like, I don't know how this gonna come together. I got things, bills coming,
Mhm.
coming at me, but okay, I'm just gonna trust and be patient, Lord.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Better than me.
And sometimes out of nowhere, and sometimes just like out of the blue, like boom, this opportunity comes at you, and it's like, and then do I say yes? Do I say no? Do I take it? Do I what? And
Uh-huh.
then it's kind of this like, I like I very much relate to one of the things you were saying is that here's this uncertainty,
Mm-hmm.
but you know that you have to break free because you have this mission, this calling. you're
Mm-hmm.
sitting there on the you're sitting there on the stage. How did I get here?
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Mm-hmm.
And but ultimately what you were doing was just that you were responding to your calling.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that you felt, especially at that time.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you want to be. This was the season of your life,
Mm-hmm.
and you were just simply going through the motions,
Mm-hmm.
going through the motions, and then you end up finding yourself on the same stage as your
Yeah.
teachers, your professors,
Uh,
other your equals in a sense,
uh,
which is unbelievable. And I think where people kind of like, this is at least in my observation and sometimes in my life, where here's this sort of season in my life, and I just want to be comfortable in this season because I think this is what it is for me. And as we said earlier, we all struggle, and we all struggle differently, and those struggles keep coming up, they
mhm,
keep coming back. And in your case, you were sharing your burnout.
mhm,
Um, I too, I was doing some phenomenal work before all this, and I started sensing the burnout coming. I
mhm,
was a little bit lucky. I caught it before, it actually became burnout. Not all of us are lucky like that.
mhm.
Um, but like, you're doing this incredible work, and this burnout is creeping up on you. And what is that? How do I interpret it? And maybe it's time to shift, like you were sharing earlier. Maybe it's time to shift. Maybe it's time to move. That I'm going to take that as an indication.
Mhm,
um, and what's coming to me through this discussion is that here I am living this, in a sense, free life. This is what I
mhm,
always wanted to do.
mhm,
But it sounds to me like there's more. There's something what I like to define as thriving, which is a little bit more.
mhm.
I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm doing great, but I'm just not. I don't feel I'm thriving. I don't feel like. I guess I'm not shooting on all cylinders in a sense.
Right, right.
What comes to you when you hear, how do you make the differentiation between, that freedom, I'm living that great life and whatever, but I think there's more. I think I need to thrive. What's your take on that?
Yeah. So for me, I believe the difference between like surviving and thriving is letting go of the last pieces of the old you. I think
Mm,
that's what that struggle
wow.
is for. And I know for me, that's what this season of my life has been. It's like, okay, how much of the past can I separate myself from? And it's not
Mhm.
just from like accomplishments, but it's like bitterness from things that happen, or just like the frustration of just like trying to make things work, or things that don't work, or like you put effort into it, you think it's gonna work, and then it doesn't fall. So like all these different things, and it's
Yeah.
like they get ingrained in you. And I wrote about something it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe like a month or so ago, about the hater within. And
Mm,
it was really self-reflection for me, because that's what I try and do with what I write. I try and put myself in it.
mm,
Sometimes I'm not always the lead in the story,
sure.
but for that, it was like I was in a season where it's just like everybody was like thriving, and I'm working and I'm doing all this kind of stuff. It's like nothing is happening. And we always think about haters as being people like opposite of us. Like, oh, I got haters out here. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, you a hater too. Like you
Your
got,
own.
yeah, and we can get there when we're in that
Sure.
season of like, I'm trying, but it's not working. And why it's not working for me the way I feel it
Mhm.
should? And it's
Right.
all building. It's like, okay, it's character building. It's like, okay, can you be in a season where it doesn't work for you, but you can still celebrate other people? Or
Mm,
you can be in a season where you giving advice to people and it's working for them, and then it might not work for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so
right.
like this like dichotomy of, hey, I might be able to give people things that I don't have right now. And can I
Mhm.
do that from an authentic and real place?
Right.
Because if I can do that in this season, when my season does come, then I can still be humble with whatever comes. And I think that's what it is. It's like, it's not that you're not ready or you don't have the abilities or capabilities. It's just some things need to be worked out, because this next season might move fast. You might have a different level of people you're interacting with. So you
Sure.
have to be different, and you have to be able to relate or communicate with people in a different way. And so it's like, all right, let me, uh, I guess for me, it going back to pruning. And so it's like, in order to really grow, you got to get cut down.
Yep.
You got to get pared down to really have that big expansive growth. And so we don't like that. We don't like getting pruned and get things cut off and all that kind of stuff.
It
But
hurts.
yeah, it hurt.
Yeah.
But we really, really want to grow. That's necessary. So
Right.
we can be fine the way we are, and we can live on what we've done in the past. But if we
Mm,
really want that next level of growth, then some of that got to get cut off.
yeah. Yeah. And again, like you mentioned, you have to like there's just seasons in life that just shift and just move and just happen. And I like to see every struggle or every challenge or every movement in a sense,
Mhm.
however we interpret it, is really that indication that, hey, don't get too comfortable because I have something else in store for you, kind of like the universe talking to us saying, yeah, it's great that you're here, faculty and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, but hey, I kind of need you right now, Terrence, to help
Mhm.
me out with such and such. So I
Mhm.
kind of need to shift
Mhm.
shift your trajectory a little bit, and come, I need you in this direction.
Mhm.
And like you said, it's also listening to that calling. It's also listening to that, paying attention, and don't let that inner voice kind of, distract you in a sense. It's kind of like, well, hey, I'm faculty, I'm doctor such and such,
Mhm. Mhm.
like I got my position here. What do you mean?
Mhm.
Like sometimes that does and come and blind us. And I love how you share that, because I have this article that I say, stop selling, like don't fall back on your accolades and on your, it's called, I believe the title of the article is called "Don't Sell Me Your White Hairs."
Mhm.
Basically, it's great that you have all these experiences and all these, things. These are amazing, amazing accomplishments. But in the end of the day, to the people that were here to serve and the people that were here to help, that doesn't really make much of a difference. And maybe I don't have all the tools and I don't have all the answers
Mhm.
to your struggles, but your struggles are yours, and I don't know, what's demanded from you. All I do know is that I could be there of support. I could be there, to partner up. I could even be there just to hold, just to
Mhm.
pat you on the back and just be there as your buddy, throughout this time. And it's kind of like on each of us to identify who's those inner circles. I love how you said, getting into those communities, into those things that are really like it's really about how we serve and who we serve, not so much our background, our what we come with, but
Mhm.
more like I don't know what's good for you until I get to speak to you, until I get to know you. I
Yeah.
don't know if I have what to offer you or anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think I think that really talks to thriving. I really think that when we thrive is that we let go of all these things that hold us down,
Mhm.
which in a sense is that freedom. I'm free of worry, I'm free of whatever, but I'm also kind of like just totally empty and totally free to allow space for others to come into me, for
Mhm.
others to, I'm making that space to allow. It's kind of like funny. It's like the more we give, the more it's kind of like we are able to receive at the same time. I think that's what I'm hearing from what you're saying.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's that thriving, and that's, I guess, that firing on all cylinders, what you were mentioning. So thank you for that. I mean, that was a huge, that's at least my takeaway of everything that we've learned here today.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. It's really incredible.
Yeah. Like for me, um, I was I was always sometimes intelligence can be a burden,
Mm,
or it can be a crutch,
mm,
and I used it well for a long time. It's like I always knew I was smart, so I was like, okay, that's part of my identity. I led with that, but
mm,
then I just learned over the years, nobody really cares like if you're smart or you're intelligent or whatever if it's not practical.
right.
And so it's like, okay, how can I start to take all these things but make it practical and make it everyday language? Because yeah, I could talk about stuff from a academic standpoint or make it real like clinical or mental health or whatever, but people don't live there. We don't live
Right.
there. That's not our real life. And I learned how to like use my creativity to create visuals. So I'm a big
Mhm.
visual person. So you know, if as you notice as we've been talking, I've thrown out a lot of visuals as
Yeah.
talking, and it's intentional. They kind of come to me, so I don't really plan on what visual will come. It's just like you might say something, or I might reflect like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, visual," you know.
Yeah.
But it sticks with people more rather than, oh, let me
Right.
fit these words, let me say something, let me pull this quote or whatever. Not that it's anything wrong with it, but that's authentic to me. I'm being
Sure.
authentic to me when I'm doing it. And so I think it resonates with people so much more when they can think about something and the visual can connect to it. You were saying something earlier about like having a decision, and one of my guiding visuals for my life has always been the crossroads. And
Mm,
I've every about 3 to 5 years I come up to a new one. And it's always a decision to do what I've always done or to do something totally different.
sure.
So like me moving from, like I say, I went to Mississippi State, so I was in Starkville for about 8 or 10 years, and I moved back home. I had two opportunities. I had one to go back into doing like community mental health and doing alternative schools, which I had done before, or do like be a career coordinator
Mm,
at Jackson State. And I literally had I had accepted a job with the community mental health center, but I still wanted the other job. So like I accepted it, but I was like, hey, I had an uncle. Well, my uncle still worked there at Jackson State. Like, hey, this position over. Can you walk my stuff over? Because I was still in Starkville. Like, can you walk my stuff over just to see? And and
mm,
so I actually had to. They had like put my name up on like the bulletin board and like the new hire. And I was
oh,
like, hey, can I rescind the offer? I got another offer because I just knew it.
oh,
I knew it wasn't where I needed to go. It's what
sure.
I've done it before, but I knew it. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something different. So I
Hmm.
did career like coaching. I did like resume writing, like career fairs and stuff for college students, and I loved it. But I still wanted to do like counseling. So I
Right.
stayed there for a year. Then I got at the counseling center, and I did that for like 3.5 years. And I love that work because of the students. And that's one thing. If you worked in schools or around kids, I don't care if it's K through 12, college, it is something about kids that it keeps you there because you want to see them make it to their end goal or see
Sure.
them graduate. And I think that's always been the most rewarding thing for me doing that work because it's a lot of thankless jobs. Teaching is a thankless job. Counseling is a thankless job. It's like any kind of healthcare professional job, you don't get a lot of praise and thanks.
Sure.
But you get it from seeing like whoever you work with reach. So like seeing my students graduate was the greatest gift.
Mm,
And I actually had one of my students in the doctor program. She's blind, and she, if you met her, you wouldn't know that she was blind. Like she can have a
wow.
you like she would get dropped off at the building where we had our class at. She would go through the first. We were on like the second floor. She would go through the front door, get on the elevator, get off on our floor, come down the hallway, go through the door, and then we had like a conference room table, and she would know where her seat was and be able to sit down. Or even if I passed in the hallway, she like, "Hey, Doctor," like, "Hey," like she would know me. I guess by like I don't know by like the cologne I had on, whatever, but she would notice me. And I remember when we first started, I was like, "Hey, if you do everything I tell you to do, I'm gonna make sure I walk you across the stage. I'm gonna get you across the stage." And when it came time when she finished, like my boss and like the dean and all that kind of stuff, they kind of, I guess, heard about that or whatever, and so they're like, "Hey, we're gonna make that happen. We're gonna let you walk her across the stage."
Wow.
And I got that picture, and like it. like it still makes me
I'm getting goosebumps right
yeah,
here, right now. You're
it feels
sharing that.
right
That's
too because
beautiful.
it's like I was able to honor a promise.
Wow.
I promised her that, and I was
Mm,
able to do that, and to walk her across the stage. I think
wow.
that was like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But I also know that your calling kind of has like time limits. So
Yeah.
certain calls
Yes.
are for certain seasons and for certain
Right.
times. So I know if nothing else, I was supposed to do that for her. I was supposed to make sure she got across the stage. That was part of
Sure.
me in there. I know that for sure. And so now it's like, okay, how I know me encountering people, my connection to people, not by accident.
Hmm.
So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, what's the purpose of these connections? But it's also with the suffering, my suffering is also for somebody that I haven't met yet because they're gonna need to hear
Yes.
the thing that I've been through and like,
Right.
oh, you had that happen and you still went through that, you still did this. And so
Mhm.
that's always my prayer is like, Lord, I might not like what's going on. Just let me understand the why.
Right.
Let me understand why I have to go through this. And I still might not like it, but I can accept it, Bill. Like I just need to know the
Yeah.
why. Just give me the why and I can work with that. I can work with that. And that's always what I try and seek out. It's like even though it might be difficult and I might not understand it
Hmm.
for a reason, and I need to go through this process in order to then either serve or
Right.
pass information, knowledge to somebody else because that's why we go through what we go through is to give it
Sure.
to the next person and let them know like, hey, around this corner, it's gonna be this coming. So watch out for this when you come around the corner. And it's just helping other people's journeys be a little smoother than ours.
Yeah, I absolutely love how you said that, and you took us through such a journey here. It's like here's a struggle. We all struggle somehow. You
Yeah,
know, we all potentially could fall into this trap.
yeah,
What we call the mental prison in a sense, and then like sort of like shifting and removing all this like noise that's in our head, these voices, including our own sometimes.
mhm,
Just to live that free life in a sense, and how you ended off by saying, listen, those seasons are temporary. And maybe, your mission being a teacher, being a professor was to walk that particular
mhm,
girl across the stage. And now you're being called to
mhm,
another mission,
mhm,
to another thing.
mhm,
And that's how we interpret thriving. Thriving is the ability, I think, the ability, and this is based on what I'm listening to you, what you're saying. Thriving is the ability of listening to that struggle,
mhm,
identifying that this struggle is actually a blessing or a calling to
mhm,
a greater mission for the next service that's being called of you.
mhm,
And you're just basically praying to hopefully, properly interpret it and properly see,
mhm,
the outcome of here's the reason why you're struggling so that you could better channel and better be of service to somebody else. I absolutely loved. I mean, this is how I interpreted, what you just shared, and
yeah,
I just absolutely love that. And I think that was immense value to the audience. I think they could really all relate to that, in how you shared that, and you did it very, very eloquently and really amazingly. So, thank you for that, Terrence. This was unbelievable,
yeah.
incredible. I
Thank
mean, really incredible. If you don't mind, I'm gonna shift gears and we're gonna like shift it down, and I want to kind of like get off the heavy stuff and just go on to a little fun stuff.
Yeah.
Ask this of all the guests: if there was this ideal mentor,
Mhm.
dead or alive, doesn't matter. But this most ideal mentor that you had the ability, access to, maybe have a dinner with, a coffee, whatever it is, who would it be and why?
Okay. So I think somebody asked me this some similar a while back. So I'm gonna try not to use the same person. So I said Bruce Lee the last time somebody asked me, and I still kind of want to do that, but
Go ahead, it's good. Why would it be Bruce Lee? Why would it be Bruce Lee?
okay. So for me, I enjoy people I enjoy people's journey, but I
Mm,
also enjoy people that kind of come from a certain background and then use like what they learn, their kind of personality to then create something new. Uh,
mhm,
and so, he blended a lot of styles together to become stylists, or formless, as he
mm,
said. And I think for me, that's kind of how I look at myself. So all these different things are things that kind of radiate from me, uh, but I can make them into something different because I don't look at them as static things. So
mm,
I don't look at counseling as a static thing. I don't look at teaching as a static thing, or mentoring, or creativity, or design, or whatever. I just see them; they're all pieces of me, and I'm
mm,
always looking to see like how can I blend all these together, or blend them in a way that's different and unique
mm.
to me. And I think that's why I'm always people that do like multiple things. I'm always drawn to them. So
That is so cool.
whether it's Jamie Foxx, or like Donald Glover, people know him as Childish Gambino, or
Mhm.
like all these different people, they're like, man, he does this and he does that and does that. And I think that can be a trap too, where it's like, you should just do this. You're good at this. Do that.
Right.
And I've never been that person. Like, writing is something I've probably been a writer longer than anything else. I've been
Mm,
writing all my life. It hasn't necessarily been my title, but it's been weaved in everything.
mm.
I've been a creative in a job sense, but creativity runs all through everything I do. So it's like
Wow.
these running threads kind of run through me. And for me to try and cut them off hurts me
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I can't really shut them off, especially with the creativity, uh, because I see things in a way that other people don't see, or I see them in a way that I can pull life things into a written form or a visual form, and like, oh, that makes sense. But I didn't
Mm,
think about equating this with that and putting it together,
right.
or just how I've been talking in visuals. It's like
Mhm.
that's kind of how my mind works, and so I guess that's my freedom. My freedom is to be formless at all times and be me. Because when I try and attach one thing to me or operate from one thing, I'm not able to flow.
Mhm. Yeah. So I have my last follow-up question on the last on that other question about you're now sitting with Bruce Lee, you're
Yeah,
having coffee with him,
yeah,
or you're having dinner or whatever it is. The butterflies are settling now because all your excitement that you're actually in front of this ideal mentor.
yeah.
Just give us a visual. You were talking about visuals. Just give us a visual of like what would it look like? What would be your burning question that you'd like to ask him, and what are you hoping like the lesson would be out of what you would like just give us a picture of what it's like to actually sit in front of him and actually ask him something. What would be your burning question?
So for me, I don't think I would want to do like a dinner. I think I
Mm,
would want to be outside somewhere, or like a walking, talking thing.
okay, yeah.
Um, or like what would really be cool is like doing like a training session thing. That'll be cool.
Mm.
I think that'll be cool because that's all that's another piece of me
You're
too.
in, you're in action.
Yeah, but that so I do have a martial arts background too,
Yeah.
so that ties in with that. But my question would be how how do you navigate being you in a world that wants to always make you conform?
Hmm. Wow.
Because that's that's the challenge. That's the real battle that all of us face, is that we
Right.
have things that we want to do that might rub up against like norms or what people expectations are of us. And
Mm.
how do you still be you in a world that wants it tried to tell you what you should be, or how you
Sure,
should be, or how you should act. And
sure.
that would be my question, because that was his fight. He had to fight up against, not conforming.
Wow. Wow. I love it. I think this is the perfect way to end off. We're leaving it on a cliffhanger. We're praying that you meet Bruce Lee and you get this answer, because I think we all share that same question of like, how do I ultimately be me in a world of that actually like forces us to conform in a sense. It literally forces us to conform. And how could I just be me? That is a powerful. I mean, I think that's life's journey right there. That's why I need somebody like Terrence to help us out with that. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been such an honor, such a privilege. This is concluding our our episode with Dr. Terrence Johnson, who has been absolutely insanely incredible. To contact and to get in touch with Dr. Terrence, he's on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
You can check him out. You just search, I guess, Terrence Johnson.
Hmm.
He's there. If you cannot find him, reach me and I will make the introduction happily. Dr. Terrence is absolutely beyond incredible. The stuff that he shares, read his material. He has stuff on Medium. He's all over the place, really. He's just incredible. He has those courses. Go check them out. Um, this has been so incredible. And this is a show that is exceptionally irresistible because we believe that all of you are already exceptionally irresistible. You don't need permission. You don't need a title. You don't need a certificate. You don't need any of that kind of stuff. You are already. Why? Because you have a fingerprint and it is your responsibility. It's up to you to make your mark on the world. There's only one fingerprint that belongs to you and nobody else. You have that. And this show loves to highlight people like you, people like Terrence, all the guests that we have so far. So please, if you want to be highlighted, if you have a story, if you have something incredible that you're doing, please join us. And there's ways of how to reach us. Either you go to yermikirkis.com or exceptionallyirresistible@gmail.com, or through, there's so many ways, through LinkedIn, through all the other ways. We want to highlight you. This is what this show is about. This does conclude it. Terrence Johnson, thank you, thank you, thank you a million times. Thank you so much for an awesome, awesome show.
No, no, thank you. Like I said, I never know what I'm gonna say. I just pray before, like, Lord, whatever you want me to say, just let it be beneficial to people. So
It was. Oh, it was.
I learn as I talk as well. So it's beneficial to me as well, because I don't never know what I'm gonna say.
Well, let me tell you something. God has heard your prayer. You have brought so much incredible, value. I'm sure the audience are going to eat this up alive. So thanks again, Dr. Terrence Johnson. You were incredible. Thank you all, everybody. See you again next time. See you soon. Bye-bye.